Peter Warner here with an extended look at the forecast as we continue through this weather impact alert for our first red flag warning of the year. Yeah, we did see some strong winds here today on your Saturday, but the strongest are still yet to come, and we still do have that elevated fire risk here throughout the area. We'll break down some of the best safety practices here, of course, as you head into what's going to be a very breezy, windy, really, you could say, Sunday and Monday as well. Then we'll take a look at the extended forecast, not only for really what the week ahead is going to be looking like, but also maybe an extended look at our peak fire season. We do have a forecast in on that as well. So we'll kind of break down all those details and break down a whole lot more details here on this weather impacts alert. Again, on your Saturday, we did see the peak wind gusts right around 20 to 30 miles per hour, give or take, here throughout the area. 31 here in Sacramento, Oroville at 35. San Francisco, though, 39 miles per hour was that peak wind gust today. That's what I think we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of here throughout the area as we get into your Sunday. I think widespread gusts 35 to 40 plus miles per hour. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an isolated gust that does reach the 50 mile per hour mark here in the valleys. At least one of them should be seeing that potential here. It's all part of this red flag warning. Again, we're talking about the sustained wind speed right around 20 to 30 miles per hour. It's those gusts are going to be 35 to 50 miles per hour. And look how low this relative humidity is going to be. 7 to 15% relative humidity. That's very dry air. Typically at this time of year, we can see it up to maybe 30 to 40%. This is the reason why we're seeing this red flag warning is these strong winds plus that low relative humidity. Those are pretty much the two key ingredients in issuing a red flag warning. That's what the National Weather Service looks at. And this National Weather Service office here in Sacramento, they issued it, but it continues outside of the National Weather Service office in Sacramento's coverage area as well. Look, it goes all the way down towards Bakersfield, and it goes towards Chico as well. So this is an alert that's covering a large portion here of the state of California. And this is going to be bringing that widespread potential impact for quickly developing brush or grass fires. They can grow rapidly here. That's the major concern with these winds, and it's in the valley. That's a big focus as well. Remember, this is a valley fire potential. It's not at the higher elevations in the high country here. There is also a wind alert, a wind advisory underneath. You could say the red flag warning, and the red flag warning kind of goes on top of it because it's usually assumed that you're going to be seeing the strong winds. But we do have that wind advisory through 8 p.m. on Sunday, kind of right along the I-5 corridor from Sacramento up towards Redding. So we're going to be seeing that Colusa, for example, Marysville. You're going to be seeing some of the stronger winds here as well with this wind advisory. Again, that clears at 8 p.m. on your Sunday. Another good way to put into perspective this fire danger that we're going to be looking at here throughout the area is, well, just your typical fire danger outlook. And you can see we got pretty much a 3 out of 5 risk here throughout a large portion of the North Sacramento River Valley. And also even further to the south in areas near Stockton, Modesto as well, we still see that moderate risk here as well. The rest of us are under that low dry risk, but either way, we are still seeing the potential, again, for rapidly developing fires here in the valley. So it's a good reminder of, well, what are the best ways to prevent a spark? Keep vehicles off dry grass. I know that's a simple one, but that's a big one. I know people maybe want to spend some time outdoors because we are going to be seeing cooler temperatures here as we get into the next couple of days. Watch for dragging vehicle parts. That's a big one here as well. Mow your lawns and not dry grass or weeds either. If you're starting to notice it's pretty dry out there, don't mow at all, especially don't mow at all here really in the afternoon as we continue into your Sunday. If you have to do any mowing, if you have to do it before 10 a.m. Then the last one is properly dispose of cigarettes and matches. That's a big one that not a lot of people think about, but if you throw one of those lit cigarettes into kind of a brush field or area, yeah, that's going to develop pretty quickly here into what's potentially going to be a fast growing brush fire. Again, that's our primary concern here with this. That's why we have this weather impact alert that continues through Monday. We're going to be talking about those temperatures climbing well into the 80s, you could say, tomorrow. That's not too bad, right? But, well, it's the actual impact of the wind and the low relative humidity. That's what we're talking about here with this, that low relative humidity, again, right around that 7 to 15% mark. So have no sparks or flames. I know we keep on emphasizing this, but that's really the primary concern with this event. It's the relative humidity and the wind, not as much the temperatures. It's not going to be too bad of a day tomorrow if you don't mind the wind outside. Just don't burn outside. Relative humidity as we get towards your Sunday morning, not too bad. Again, early in the day, it's going to be a little bit higher above the red flag warning threshold. But notice as we get towards right around lunchtime, we start to see a whole lot more teens here. And as we continue through your Sunday, as you reach right around that 5 o'clock hour, here we are right around 5 p.m., Stockton, 9% relative humidity. Here in Sacramento, 10%. Marysville, 12%. Vacaville, Fairfield, right around that 10 to 11% as well. So it's in the valley. That's where we're seeing the lowest relative humidity. San Francisco, 48% humidity. If you look at Tahoe, Truckee, as we get towards that peak time of the day where humidity usually is lowest, it's still at 29, 32%. So it's a good way to put into perspective where we're seeing that risk in the valleys, the low country, low elevation, especially along and further to the west of Interstate 5. I think that's where we have the best potential. As we start your Monday, again, not too bad, but by the time we get towards Monday afternoon, 7% out in Vacaville, 7% here in Sacramento, Fairfield and Marysville at 8%. Again, it's low relative humidity, drier. The good news as we get towards your Monday afternoon is we're going to start to see these winds calm down a little bit. But Sunday, it's a completely different story. We're talking about wind gusts maybe nearing that 40 to 50 mile per hour mark. Notice kind of that pinkish, purplish, magenta color here as we start your Sunday morning along the coastal range on the east side of it. That starts to make its way here down towards the Delta and again along that I-5 corridor where we can see some of those strongest winds. That's what we're going to do. They're going to be doing the PSPSs from the PG&E. That's where we're going to be seeing a lot of those, and we'll break those down in a second. But notice the wind gusts right around 35 to 40 miles per hour, and this is the consistent pretty much gust we're talking about here. This isn't going to be, say, your isolated stronger gusts. This is just consistent gusts, 35 to 40 miles per hour. Again, those peak gusts will be a little bit higher than that by right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday, it's going to start off breezy as well. Notice some of those magenta colorings here in the high country, even out near Fairfield as well. But then as we get towards your Monday afternoon, we are going to slowly but surely start to see a little bit of relief, especially as we get towards right around the 4 o'clock time frame, which is good because that is when we are going to be seeing some of that lowest relative humidity. But we were talking about the PSPSs, or the public safety power shutoffs here, and these are done by PG&E. Here's one of them right along I-80 just to the north and to the west of Vacaville. You're going to be seeing some of those isolated rollouts here where you're going to lose your power for a little bit. The reason PG&E does these is because they don't want to have any of those sort of power kind of systems causing any sparks or fires here throughout the area. When it comes to San Joaquin Valley, you're going to be seeing it kind of right along Interstate 5 further to the west of Patterson and just to the south of Tracy. This is where we are going to be seeing some of those, again, isolated rolling power outages here throughout the area, kind of just due to the west of Modesto. Then as we get towards the Sacramento Valley, further to the north, Maxwell, Willows, kind of near Colusa County, we're going to be seeing some of them here as well. You can see Colusa on the map there. Again, this is going to be where we're seeing those rollouts. And I think this area is kind of where we see the highest maybe potential for some of these wildfires or these brush fires really to get going pretty quickly. Notice it's along all of these pretty much right along and west of the I-5 corridor. That's our big emphasis here with this. It's all being driven by this area of low pressure that's eventually going to clear its way out here as we get towards your Tuesday. As that low clears, we're going to start to see our winds become a whole lot weaker, and we're going to start to focus on this area of high pressure. Notice it's not going to move a whole lot here. And as we get towards your Wednesday, even as we get towards your Thursday, and then as we get towards your Friday as well, it's really not going to be making too much of a difference. That's going to allow heat to build here throughout the area when we don't have too much of a pressure change or any colder air moving in. That's going to allow for warmer temperatures here as we get through the new week and a whole lot of sunshine as well. And that's going to mean, well, those fuels are going to start to dry out once again. I don't have a whole lot of rainfall in the forecast, which means our drought, which wasn't really too bad as we started the water year, will continue to grow. Here we are as of May 16th. And actually, yeah, we're going to see a little bit of increase just slightly in the dry here throughout the area. It's not significant, but we did see a little bit of an increase in the dry, and moderate saw a mild increase as well. It's only about 1 to 2%, but as we continue through the year, we're going to start to see again a lot more of these dry conditions, at least this summer, start to build up a little bit more. And when you have those dry conditions, that means that dry really fuel for these fires is going to continue to grow as well. And as we have the really fire outlook and the rest of the season, because of those dry conditions that are expected, because those fuels starting to dry out, our fire weather outlook as we get into the extended forecast, well, June, again, we are looking to be a little bit above average here in the valley, the foothills, the Sierra, the Bay Area, and our Central Coast. And guess what? It continues as we get into your July. Here we are, July 2026. Notice Sacramento Valley, foothills, Sierra, Bay Area, North Central Coast, and the inland North Coast as well, likely trending more vulnerable, or wildfire potential is trending above average here, okay? And then as we get into your August, well, a similar situation there. Again, this is a product that is provided by the predictive services of the National Interagency Fire Center that's based out of Boise, but it puts into perspective how this dry pattern that we're in, this hot pattern that we're in, potentially windy pattern, it's kind of expected to continue here as we get through summer months or really the peak fire season. So it's just a good thing to keep in mind. When it comes to your forecast for the new work week, again, it's going to be pretty quiet in terms of temperatures and really conditions here throughout the area. Not a whole lot going on, just increasing temperatures kind of daily, especially in the hills. Notice on your Sunday 70, but by the time we get towards Wednesday, 84 degrees is the high. There are 87 as we get towards Thursday. And when it comes to us here in the valley, we are going to be talking about temperatures continuing to climb, especially as we get into your Monday. Notice that 6-degree jump. It is still going to be windy, though. We still do have that weather impact alert for Monday as well. But it's really Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those are the hottest days I have here of the forecast. Again, notice that Thursday, I got 97 here in Sacramento. Now, as we get into the weekend, though, your Labor Day weekend, here's some good news, or your Memorial Day weekend. We are talking about temperatures dropping into the 80s. So for the extended weekend ahead for your Memorial Day, we are going to have some relief from the heat. But until then, it's going to be windy, then hot, and it's going to be very dry here as well.